So, welcome everybody to our Marathon Training Academy podcast. And today we have a new session. And today it's with David Jeffrey. And David, just tell us who you are, where are you based?
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Wie geht's? Sehr good. That's about the extent of it, but there you go. My name's David Jefferies. I have two companies. I've had Astral Consulting, and I also have the Mind Palace. By profession, I guess you call me a psychologist. I'm a member of the British Psychological Society, and I have psychology and qualifications. And I specialize in criminal psychology. Now, as soon as I mention that, most people think I do, go to murder scenes and tell you what the person who committed this was like. Profiling, everyone knows profiling and thinks that's what it is. My specialism, although I have got experience in profiling, I don't do that. My specialism is really, if you like, deception detection, behavioural analysis, which is all about listening, looking, watching at people, seeing how they behave, what their gestures are, the words they use, their facial expressions, that sort of thing. That we're looking for indicators that tell us when somebody's being, should we say, less than truthful. And it's all based around the conscious, unconscious mind, how sentences are structured, how we react very quickly with the unconscious mind, and then the conscious mind steps in to hide our feelings and spotting those little gaps in things, looking for leakages, looking for clues that indicate that somebody is not telling you the truth or not telling you the whole truth, as the phrase goes. And I can also, I advise people on how to interview effectively. So how to plan interviews, how to conduct interviews, how to structure them, questioning techniques, that sort of thing, building rapport, so that we get the most out of interviews. So that's what I do. That's my passion, as it were.
Wow. That sounds like a very fascinating area you're working in, and what is super important for a lot of people. Um, if you would tell us a crisis that you had in the future and the past, and how you overcame it, what would you tell to the listeners today?
Wow. Crises of all shapes and sizes, some major, some minor. To me, not finding my car keys when I have to go out in a hurry is a crisis. Obviously life throws crises at you with bereavement and divorce and house sales falling through and all the things that happen. So what to choose? I would say probably the most recent one, and I'm choosing this because I think it will resonate with a lot of people, is when COVID hit, coronavirus hit. And I just started my company, and within a couple of months of really I've been building up to it and going to events and things, and I launched, and I got my first contract to go and do some training on spotting some fraud and that sort of thing for a charity. It was a small little contract. I was really proud. I got my first gig, and then COVID hit, and all the visits had gone, and that was it. And I had a brand new company with expenses, etc., and nothing coming in. So how did I deal with that? Well, for a few years, I taught in a school. I taught physics, science, and I think the way of dealing with the crisis is, in a constructive way, is to spot what, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, but to spot what opportunities the crisis presents. That sounds a little bit sort of cold-hearted, but not in the sense that when there is a crisis that affects a lot of people, there are other people out there that are going to have their own problems. One of the problems that happened overnight was the schools had to close, and all of a sudden the students were at home. They couldn't go into school, into class, so they missed out on practicals in science, that sort of thing, and being at home on a computer with a teacher hundreds of miles away, dozens of miles away, with students scattered, there's no interaction. a lot of students were suffering in terms of their educational or the quality of their education. So I had been doing a little bit of tutoring to bide me over since leaving teaching and going into working for myself. So all of a sudden, there were lots of students out there were saying, I can't cope with this, or I'm not getting the support I need from my school. So very, very quickly, word got around, and I ended up with over 30 students. I was working full time as a tutor during the week, 6 days a week. I refused to work on Sunday. I needed one day off, pretty much all day into the evening. And that I still do a little bit of it, actually. It's exam season now, so they're tailing off a little bit, but I still do that because I really enjoy it. But I ended up making the most of that situation to help me out, but also helping other people. So it was a double win. So that was really my disaster, my challenge. Yeah, I think that's probably, and the way I got around it was, as I say, to look at what opportunities that presented in a non-mercenary way, in a way that would help other people. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. You give us a lot of insights and ways how to think, even if, there is something going on outside or inside. So let's kick into our 6Ds. For everybody who might be the first time on our podcast, I just will give a little preview of the 6Ds, what we're talking about. We will ask David about a desire he has for the future. What is a decision he took to make it really happen? How he his declaration is about this desire. Then the 4th D will be, how does he actually devoting to it? Then we will ask him how he updates, how he develops the process to make it really happen, and how is his deliver view from his Mount Kilimanjaro, wherever you want to be, and how does he see himself when his desire is actually fulfilled. So let's begin right away. And David, tell us, what's one of the desires you want to tell to our listeners about your future?
Right. At the moment, I'm in the middle of fulfilling a desire. It's a double desire, really. My two desires that have come together is I've always wanted to write a book, which I'm doing. And I've always wanted to spread the word about deception detection and the interview techniques that we spoke of earlier to as wide an audience as possible. So I have a regular postings on LinkedIn, that sort of thing, little snippets. So I'm bringing together the work I do on interview skills. I'm bringing in the micro expressions, the facial expressions, the non-verbal communications, the body language side of it, and things like statement analysis, working on the linguistic clues and cues that we get when people are not telling us the whole story. Bring it into one volume. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. That's my desire. I'm doing that now. It's a slow process. I only started less than a month ago, I suppose, seriously. I've had several attempts at writing books in the past that have come to naught, but various reasons. But this one is, this one's taking off. I'm into the several thousand words. I'm aiming for somewhere between 40 and 80,000 words to make it worthwhile. And what I've done already, which is put together a scheme of how it's all going to fit together. And I've only really scratched the surface, and I'm already into the tens of thousands of words already. So I think the problem's going to be keeping it under the 80, not to get over the 40. So yeah, that's my desire. It's happening.
Wonderful. And tell us, how did you came to decide that you actually are going to kick this off?
It was really talking to. I started off just with the idea of doing some posts, just so I can spread the word and make contacts and obviously get some work to go and work with people to help them to introduce this into their lives, because it's so useful, not just because of the criminal background I come from and the investigative interview side. For many years I've looked at it thinking this is such a good process and a good technique, and this is so useful that it should be everywhere. It should be used in recruitment. It should be used in journalist type interviews. It should be used in data gathering, all sorts. You can apply this technique because it means that you're going to get to the truth. It means you're going to get to the nitty gritty, the meat and butter, if you like, of what you're looking at with confidence. And I think I started doing that, just sharing things on a regular basis. And several people have said, "Oh, have you got a book? Have you got a book? Because this is really good and I want more." And I was like, "Oh no, I haven't got a book actually." And I suppose I was with my desire and with the people saying, if you only had a book, I'd buy it. And I'm thinking, that would be really good. Yes, because it means I can make a bit of money. Yeah, not a lot, because books like that don't tend to sell in the hundreds of thousands. It's not going to be the next, bestseller crime thriller. But it's going to help spread the word. So yeah, I just said, yeah, I'm going to go for it. So the way I'm doing it, if you like, and delivering it is, if I'm not jumping ahead here, probably am I? But yeah, I've set to work on it, and it's in progress now, and quite a way in.
Love it. Do you have a declaration or a mission statement around all this project?
Yeah, it fits in with my my 3 rules of life. There are 3 things I want to do in life, primarily to enjoy it. That's the first one, and to make help other people enjoy. I think life should be enjoyed, regardless of any religious or spiritual beliefs. All we know for certain is we've got this life, and whether there is an afterlife or something else or not, it's irrelevant really, because we've been given this gift and we should make the most of it. So yeah, enjoy it while you're here. Second one is you should be kind, not hurt anyone, help other people. So I think that's the second one. So enjoy life, be kind. And the third one, which is probably well, they're all as important as each other, is to, we've got this one life. When we finish with this one life and we move on to whatever comes next, then I want to have left the world a better place than it was when I arrived, at least within my zone of influence. I can't stop all wars, which I could. I can't make everyone in the world have enough food on the table. But if I can do enough for those that I can, then that's what is my driving force. So yeah, so enjoy life, be kind, and leave it a little bit better than it was when you arrived.
Wow, these mission statements absolutely touch hearts and are really something that a lot of you will love you for. Do you think, can you share a little bit how you devote? What are your action steps to make really this book happen and your desire?
Yeah, well, putting pen to paper or finger to keyboard is the key. So I'm very organized. So when I knew what I was doing, I sat down and I had a mind map. I've got one of those computer programs where you drag the little clouds around. So I put the title and then put the chapter or the sections and the chapters and then the subjects in those chapters. And I'm going in. And the beauty of that is if I get an inspiration, I could be working on, say, how you engage in an interview and talking about rapport. And then suddenly at the back of my mind, something will pop up to do with, I don't know, facial expressions. So I can then jump to this facial expression and then put that in there. And I can, because that's the way my brain works. Although I'm quite logical, I don't necessarily go from A to B to C to D to D. I can go from A to Z back to Q and then to P and then all over the place. That's just the way my brain works. A straight line, it may be the shortest distance between 2 points, but it's not necessarily the most interesting. That's the way my brain works. I do that. I do a lot of reading around. I do a lot of watching videos. So I study a lot of interviews. I study a lot of other analysts and see what their views are on things and bring things together, because when I write, it sounds like I can go in to do it somewhere and I can sit down and I can come back and tell, yeah, this is the situation. It's half true. Yes, I can go in and I can give people pointers there and then on what to look for. But you don't operate in isolation as an analyst. You share with others. You look at other people. You learn from them. You look at something. You look at their viewpoint, because and analysts, if you like, are a bit like lawyers. You ask 3 lawyers for an opinion, and you get 4 opinions back. Mm-hmm. It's a bit like that, because everyone will spot something, and they'll all be. It's like the parable of the 6 blind men and the elephant. Each person, you know the story, touched part of the elephant and described it in different ways. So one thought it was a big solid wall. Somebody thought it was like a tree trunk. Another thought it was like a snake. And the other one thought it was like because they were all feeling the various different parts of the elephant. They were all right in part, but that's what it's like. So, and also different analysts have different focus. So some will spend a lot more effort on the language. Others will focus perhaps more on facial expressions. So you've got the likes of, Peter Hyatt in the US is a guy I know who works a lot on the language side of things. Then you have someone like Cliff Lansley who brings in a lot of the body language and other things together. Then you have someone like Paul Ekman, who develops the micro expressions technique, and he focuses on the face. So all together, we bring that together, we get a more rounded picture. So we're like the 6 men and the elephant. We'll all bring something to so hopefully we can build up a picture of what the elephant actually looks like, rather than.
Love it, David.
Yeah.
Only listening to you, I can't wait to get your book. And wow, amazing how deep you go. And this is a privilege for me at this point. I can tell you to get in touch with you. And the next question would be, how do you update your work? How you develop your work to get really to your goal?
That's a really good question, because it's kind of there is an answer to it, but it also opens up another question: is when do you stop? Because like all science, like all literature, like all art, it's changing all the time. So I write a chapter and then something else will come in and it will change my view. So I go back. What's the expression? Never let the perfect get in the way of the good. There's going to be a time when you have to stop. But yeah, updating it and keeping on top of everything is crucial, because things change. We get more evidence or new evidence, or somebody will bring in another idea and you have to incorporate that. Staying relevant, staying up to date is really about connecting. It's about talking to people. It's about knowing who's at the forefront, what research is going on, or what someone's opinion is. And even if the science behind it doesn't change, people's opinions and views on it will, through experience. So, years ago, we'd say, you'd read that if someone's lying, they look up and right, and if they're telling you the truth, they look down and left, and all that. And for many people, that they believe that, but experience and research has shown that's not the case. What we're looking for is changes in behaviour rather than specific behaviours. So we're moving on, and it's now developing, as I was hinting at earlier, I guess, into a more holistic approach. So there would be people that would analyse language and stay with there. There would be people that would analyse facial expressions. There would be people that would look at body language. There would be people that would look at physiological changes, and they would all be in their own one saying, this is how you do it. And now we're sort of saying, well, no, you can't. You need to bring all this together. It's a bit like medicine. If you've got a sore throat, you wouldn't go to a foot doctor. But if you're generally unwell, you go to a GP, who might then refer you to a specialist. So it's kind of like that. So if you want to know what the truth is, you might look at it and go, well, I'll look at the signs here, the signs there, and you look at this, you look at that, and then we'll brought all together and we'll say, well, he's not really giving much away with the facial expressions, but his language is telling us a lot. So we would then use that. But you need to look at the whole, because generally speaking, if somebody's being deceptive, they're going to give off signals from all over the place. And what we're looking for are points of interest, as they're known, that come from at least 2 different types of cues. And we're looking for minimum of 3 different types of cue as well. So we're looking at minimum of 3 things from 2 different areas, because that gives us a much more rounded view. So long answer, really, I expect that question. It's about keeping on top of all that. It's about looking at what's happening, what's developing, and reaching out, being proactive. It's no good just saying, reading a book, fine, I know how it works, I'm going to go and do this. It's constantly changing. I liken it to medicine. A GP in a surgery won't just sort of, if he doesn't keep up to date with modern medicine and modern procedures, etc., he'll still be prescribing, medicine from the 1960s 70s, 80s, whenever he qualified, rather than up to date one. You have to keep up to date with what's going.
Amazing. Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing. This brings a lot of ideas to my mind, and thank you for opening this horizon view. How do you see yourself when you deliver your desire? How is this view from Kilimanjaro, from Everest, from whatever mountain you want to imagine?
Everest would do, or Snowdon, yeah, or Ben Nevis, something like that. Or maybe the Alps. Yeah, the Alps. I'm sitting on top of the Alps. There we go. I suppose once everything's done, I'll be looking for the next thing, because keep moving. There's no good resting on your laurels, as it were. So in fact, I'm already thinking about the book after this one. I've got some ideas for that as well, which I'm not going to talk about now because it's a half idea still. But yeah, so always looking for the next thing. But once it's done, I'll be looking at my top of my mountain, looking down at all these people who have bought my book and have listened to my podcasts and have read my posts and everything. And it's saying, have I made your life better? I'm looking down from Mount Olympus, from the Alps. I'm thinking, yeah, I've number 3, isn't it? Well, it's all 3, isn't it? So I've had fun, hopefully, writing it and book signings and sending you your personal signed copy, Cosimo. And yeah, I've made other people happy because they read it and thought this is amazing. That would be great. And finally, I've made a difference because there'll be a lot of business owners out there, a lot of professionals, a lot of people that will look at that book and go, this is really good. I can use it, because that's what I want. I don't want people to go, oh, it's a nice book, lovely, pretty cover, and it goes on the shelf. I want people to have it on their desk in the office. So when they've got to give an interview, or when they've got to find out whether there's been a dispute at work between 2 people, oh, I'm going to have a look at David's book, because that will tell me how I can, get to the truth and find out which one's telling the truth, that sort of thing. That's what I want. That's me sitting on top of my mountain. And then I can get on with book number 2.
Perfect. And then the next desire starts, and the process is going to the next decision.
Of course, yeah. Ever moving, ever moving.
Wonderful. Perfect. Yeah. So to round up this podcast, is there one last gift you have to the listeners today?
Yeah, there is actually. I've got a couple, although I haven't written a book, I've written a couple of booklets, little guides really to interviewing, and another one on deception detection. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll give you a link and where you can download these from, 2 little PDF books that are aimed at business owners primarily, but they're of interest to anyone who's fascinated by deception detection and interview skills as well. So yeah, I'll give you links to those then, Cosimo.
I think that will be very well appreciated. Thank you, David. We can't wait to see how your book is being for the market, and talk to you next time. Have a good time, David.
Absolutely.
And everybody listening. Bye.
Thank you. Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen. Wonderful.